No countdown timer. No musical intro. No well-spoken hosts, but
Yeah, I don't know. What are
new
we fancy?
comic book day chat. Welcome to NCBDIS. How's it going, man?
I mean, better before that joke.
Yeah, this is New Comic Book Day Book Club, the show where we once a month look at the indie books or noteworthy books from the previous month and sort of chat them all up for an hour. I'm joined by Alec from White Whale Comics. His link's down below because we rotate month to month, and it's the only thing you're going to find on his channel if you go right now.
Good thing my link's down below so you don't miss a minute of the content I post.
It's not about quantity; it's about quality, and we're failing on both.
I was going to say it's not been about that either. So,
but huge thanks to all of you loyal friends who've been following this show for. Are we in year 3 now? Is it 3, 4? I can't remember now.
I
mean, the anniversary is in October, but I just can't remember.
I think it's 2018.
2018. So we're coming up on
3.5. Yeah.
3.5.
Jeez.
This is amazing.
Well,
yeah, nowhere to go from here. We're going to talk about
up or down.
A variety of books. A few number ones, like Step by Bloody Step from Image, and was it Last Gods? No, what's it called?
Land of the Living Gods.
Land of the Living Gods. We've also got a couple of issue number 2s. We got Rain from Image and Bolero from Image. I also might throw in that Aftershock Bylines in Blood issue 2. So we got a little scatter shot of books across indie comics in February 2022. Let's say hello to some people in the chat. Speaking of awesome people, we got Ruben Guzman, the White Tiger. What is going on, man? We got Kevin, Entropian Comics. We're starting off with 2 people I met in person. That's pretty awesome.
Humble brag.
I mean, that's all I got. We got No Good Comics, the Lego Fiend himself. Good to see you. We got JP making fun of me being late. In your face, buddy. I was only 2 minutes late.
And we honestly, he was not really late. We were just talking off the live, enjoying our conversation, and just have no respect for the chat.
There's that. There's definitely that. My man Scott is in the chat. How you doing, Scott? Good to see you. I don't know if this is where the party at, but it's where you are now. So that's always a good chaotic party. Let's see. He does D&D too. No, not on his own channel. Not anymore.
Yeah, now it's on JP's channel.
As I say, if you want to follow our D&D, it's over there.
I still am doing D&D, just not on my channel currently.
Right. We're having the DM host whenever we switch it around. Agri, what's up? Good to see you, sir. Ariel Red in the chat. How are things? Good to see you. We got Geeky Mama Bear saying there's also What's the Furthest Place from Here, which I have not read, so I have not picked up any of the issues from this, but I heard some people telling me that it was really, really good. I don't know. Have you read this, Alec?
Yeah.
And?
Good.
Okay, there you go. Done and done. That's the full review. We're good now. You did not miss much, Tony. We are just kicking it off. We're 4 minutes in, and we're gonna pick something to start with. Let's. Do you wanna sing some praises or throw some gripes? What are you feeling?
I mean, there was something I meant to bring up last month very quickly that I forgot to, so I wanted to just chuck it out there now. Silver Surfer Rebirth.
Silver Surfer Rebirth. This is the Rons are back, right? Ron Lim
and Ron Mars.
And Ron. What's the other one?
Right, Ron Mars.
Ron Mars. There you go. I knew the Rons. There was 2 Rons.
Yeah, it is an incredibly 90s book, and I don't mean that as a compliment. It felt like something that came out in the 90s, and it's just remarkable that clearly both of those creators have had successful long careers, but clearly they had not have been able to adapt to the times at all, because it just felt exactly like it did in the 90s.
Do you feel like there's a few books in that vein happening right now, both Marvel and DC? Because I know DC's got the creators of Booster Gold back to do some Booster Gold classic stories. They're doing Blue and Gold over there.
Yeah.
You even have some classic X-Men artists doing that X-Men Legends run where they're throwing in like creators of the past doing stories that might have fit in between stories they did back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think a lot of trends are certainly cyclical, and our generation of collectors who grew up in the 90s, there's a certain amount of nostalgia trapping that goes back to saying like, oh yeah, I missed those times.
Right.
Except that like when you go back and read early Image, like you miss it because it was cool at the time, but it's really pretty bad now.
It's the nostalgia goggles that we put on.
Right. So when you read a new book that's trying to emulate that or is literally doing the same thing as that, it is it's not enjoyable for me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Peter David, Symbiote Spider-Man, and the Maestro stories. Maestro.
Anyway, that's enough of that.
Yeah. Personally, I've read some of the X-Men Legends, and I'd say of all the ones that we've mentioned, I'm enjoying Booster Gold the most, but I think that's because that character is sort of stuck in time as a character, so it works in that way. It feels like Booster Gold has always been that guy who just never grew up out of high school and is always sort of in that mode.
Right.
So for me,
so it works for that character.
It's better in that universe versus the X-Men. I just didn't need more of that, but that was just me. Fairly new to comics, says Geeky Mama Bear. So she's liking the Silver Surfer rebirth. Sorry. But what do you know? It's everybody has their flavors. Everybody has their taste for sure.
Yeah.
So you get what you like.
The thing I say ad nauseum on this show is that I am only voicing my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. So if you enjoy it, you should enjoy it. Don't think that just because you're new to comics that you don't know what you're talking about.
Absolutely. It's all story, right? I mean,
because there's plenty of books that I sing the praises of that people read and say that was a piece of garbage. So
I'm the guy always telling people how much I love Die, and I'm constantly hearing people tell me how much they hated it. And that stuff goes for movies, TV shows. You're talking about the guy who loves Lost. Like I haven't heard people tell me how shitty my taste is over and over again. And Star Wars is the best example, where you have basically like 3 generations of fans all loving their own trilogies and all willing to say that the other stuff sucks. So
yeah, but we all know that one of those groups is just definitively wrong.
We won't play that game. I'm not even ready.
I'll let you figure out which one I'm talking about.
Right. Well, I want to crap on a book if you're okay to start with that.
I mean, go for it. I'm from Process of Elimination. I think I know what you're going to talk about, but go ahead.
I hated this book. This book's horrible.
Real drag.
Oh my God. I didn't even want to dig it out of the I'm giving this book away to somebody box I have over there. Because I really disliked Reign issue 2. I will say I didn't love issue 1, which I have yet to put in the box, but I did pull it out to put in the box. I did feel like when we talked about issue 1, I think one of the key things I said when I finished it was like, I don't know what this book's going to be. Is this going to be a tragic story of grief and how you deal with losing a loved one? Is this going to be some kind of science fiction story where we're trying to figure out how did the aliens attack us with these nails from the sky? Or is this going to be apparently what it is, a random road trip through post-apocalyptia with this weird guy who they threw in issue 2, who I'm like, I really need this guy to die. I don't like this guy.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously talked about Reign issue 1 on the show, and we both had the same thought of like, that it left a big question mark of what's going to happen next. And this is probably not the worst possibility, but like it's pretty bad. Like I just don't understand, because not only is it a random road trip, it's a random road trip which the motivations of the road trip are questionable at best and unnecessary at worst. It's like, there's really no reason for her to be braving this danger in
She
order to.
has to tell her fiance's dad, right?
Why immediately?
Why immediately in the midst of like, yeah, you can't drive
When you
because there's
still
nails
don't
all
know
over
what's
the place.
happening, when like you're walking through, it's craziness.
There's JP crapping on a book, just like 90% of the show during the original format. It's a throwback. This is our nostalgia. There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is our 90s throwback.
So my frustration with issue 1 was very much like, I don't know the genre that I'm in. I don't know the tone of these books. I don't know even like what to expect from any of it. It was like the worst choose your own adventure, right? Yeah. And I just did not know when I flipped the page what I was going to end up with. And I think, to your point, yeah, issue 2 felt like a choose your own adventure I would not have chosen.
Or at least I would have been disappointed at how it turned out.
I would have flipped back and said, okay, well, I'm clearly going page 27 instead.
I don't know, very odd choice to take it in this direction. And then the end was that, the kid who's allergic to sunlight secretly has followed her, even though they have like they've told you how difficult this journey has already been.
Yeah.
How did this kid even manage to keep up with her? Never mind his reasoning for trying, like, you're like, oh, you forgot your umbrella. The fuck, kid?
So many weird story thoughts going on there. So
not the.
I don't remember what I gave issue 1. I think I gave it like a 7.5. I don't remember. This would definitely be closer to a 5 for me. Like it may have been left. I did not like this one.
Yeah, it was a bummer. I mean, I didn't dislike reading it, right? Like, it read fine. It just, the why was just looming over it too much to it just cast like this huge shadow on it for me.
That's fair. All right, I picked first. What do you want second? That was our first book.
Well, why don't we do the number 2s first and then go to the number 1s?
All right, so let's do another deuce here with Bolero, issue number 2.
This was not a deuce for me.
No. In fact, this wasn't my favorite from last time we discussed books. I think this was my favorite. I gave this the highest grade. And this wasn't the highest grade for this round, but certainly would get really high for me. You want to try to explain Bolero issue 2?
Yeah.
Good luck with that one.
So, for those of you who didn't read issue 1, I'll give you a very quick recap. It's about this character who has this relationship that ends, and she gets kind of like chosen by this entity to be able to get this key that allows her to jump realities in order to find one that she's satisfied with, or like happy living in, or
right,
whatever.
She's so good. Sorry.
She still has her, like, she's still her in a way, but and she has a limited number of jumps. So if she runs out of jumps, then she's just stuck in the last one. And there's like this weird cat entity and this weird demon lady and all this stuff. So the first issue ends with her doing her first jump, and she jumps into a reality where she's a man.
Yeah, and it's also like it's a little science fiction-y, like it's like a futuristic space thing.
So we start in like Victorian England.
Yeah, this issue's like remember last issue? Like that.
Yeah. Well, but
I loved it.
On page 1 it is, but it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Quickly, she's like, they're talking in all these like flowery, language, and finally she's like, you know what? Nah, this isn't right. Like, I'm not into this, and I'm just gonna leave. And so she jumps back to uses her key to open the door, and she goes back to this future world. And then she jumps to like this medieval place where they're knights, and she's like, yeah, she's too bloodthirsty, and then she finds this cat, and so like basically the first half of the book is her just jumping around.
It's like test driving,
right? But it's not necessarily like in order of her jumps.
No, yeah.
And it kind of goes back and forth, and then for a while she's just like getting train run.
This, yeah, for those that don't know, this is definitely an adult R-rated,
very adult
comic.
Yes.
There's a ton of nudity and violence and language. So just if you're looking into it, not John's Comics with Kids.
And then my favorite part of the whole book was when she jumps and then she says, a new house. And then this kid says, morning, mommy. And she's like, a bad house. And she's just like, deuces. This is not the reality for me. And then she's in a reality with dinosaurs. And like, I'm really like glossing over this. But, and then this cat cult is trying to kill her, like Wicker Man style. And they stab her, and this demon entity comes out of her stomach and kills
Which I think didn't we see kind of the demon entity with the cat in the last issue, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's like the caretaker for the cat. There it is.
And then so she jumps back to this space realm with the cat entity, and she like is so thankful that she was saved, and they have this long conversation about, you know, ducks.
Well, just making analogies for what is her real purpose here? Because honestly, I feel like sorry, you finish what you're doing. Sorry, finish what you're doing.
And then she jumps to a reality where she gets set up with this guy who's not the woman that she's been pining over in all these other realities, and seems to like actually maybe like think about trying to make this happen with this guy instead of what she's been chasing. And so the analogy is that the cat person is saying, like, you know, ducks have they secrete this oily substance onto their feathers so that they don't get wet when they're in the water. So like you need to find what's going to take it to get the water to roll off of you, because you're taking, you know, you're not looking at this correctly, basically. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's very fair.
Okay. So,
and for me, what I really liked, the reason I liked these two, to JP's point, is issue 1 felt like a lot of setup where we were really getting to know her, getting to know what she's going through. And then there's this, and she's suffering through a lot of this breakup and damaging herself as a way of dealing with it. And then all of a sudden she like bangs this guy in a car on this outside this club, and it becomes like an opportunity to reboot her life in alternate versions. And what issue 2 was for me is her saying, like, she's still in this cycle of damaging herself, and she's not taking this seriously, and she's just like treating it like a video game where she can hit reset as many times as she wants without really thinking through, like, what is your purpose here? Like, what are you trying to do for yourself?
Right.
And so there's a lot of like skip, nope, skip this part, don't like this one, nope. And I find that very human and very entertaining.
Especially like that part with the kid where she's just like, I don't know if I brought this up last time, but there's one of my favorite moments in The Simpsons is when Homer creates the toaster that makes him jump through realities. And he's going through all these ones, and it's just like everything sucks. And then he gets this reality where everything is perfect.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, this is the one. And he says, hey, Marge, can you pass me a donut? She said, what's a donut? And he screams and just bounces out of that reality.
Done with it.
But then she goes, oh, look, it's raining again. And it's raining donuts. So, like, you know, he could have had donuts because it's just rain, and he would have them for free.
They call it rain. Yeah.
So I think like that's kind of a good analogy of what's happening here, as far as how I'm reading it, is that she went into this thing, this whole jumping thing, to find the reality where her girlfriend and her would be happy together.
Right.
Whereas
only to kind of realize
that maybe she just needs to find happiness for herself, and it doesn't have to be in this box of what she thinks it's supposed to look like.
Right. What's up, Warlord? Thank you for coming by, sir. And I totally get that. There are plenty of books that I'm reading this way. I just picked up the new volume of Fire. What's that got?
Firepower.
Fire what?
Firepower.
Firepower. Yeah. I'm not reading that in individuals. I'm reading that in trade just to save a little money. And I totally get that. Totally get it.
So to take a quick tangent, because that comment is a good segue to it. And I was going to bring it up later, but just talk about it now. This is something that, I've brought up time and time again, but I think really is reinforced this week with all of these titles that we read, all 4 of them, is that, they were all well, not all enjoyable, but, even the ones that I enjoyed, I finished reading them and thought to myself, this would just read better in a trade. It's like every more and more things are getting written for trades, and makes me wonder, like, should I just collect the floppies I want and only read stuff in trade? Because, like, do you disagree that both, even Rain, which you didn't enjoy, probably is going to read better in a trade?
And I think it's similar to TV shows being made for stream binging versus being made for water cooler discussions and time between episodes and all that kind of thing. I think
even a book that we're not talking about this week, but is one of my favorite books coming out right now, A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance.
Yeah.
Even me saying it's one of my favorite books coming out right now, I would still rather read it in trade, because it would just read better.
Mm-hmm. I think that, like we were saying earlier, it's because a lot of them have this design of, we want to be a TV show at some point. So we're going to write like it's a TV series, and it's just one of many, and you can just read a volume and it's like first season and second season and whatever. It all feels very binge consumption based. I don't know. JP says, I feel like indies are especially being designed for trades. What's up, Perry? Good to see you, my brother. Hope you're doing well. And Chaos says books are really written as trades now. It's how these writers and artists' legacy will be in the context of collected editions.
Yeah, and I don't remember if I've brought this specific story up on this show or not before, but last time we were at a convention, which was Baltimore a couple of years ago, I was talking to one of the publishers there, and he said straight up, when people are submitting ideas or books for us to publish, what we're looking at are things that can be optioned. It is, especially like the smaller indies, that's how they're looking at things. We are a test market for options, because that's how they're making their money.
Yeah, it's intellectual properties,
right,
that they can then create a universe around, expand on, and continue
or get a paycheck for not doing anything.
Continue to resell. Yeah. Scott says there does seem to be a lot of writing for trades, but my understanding is that the business model for the direct market is still very much based around. Well, of course, yeah, because they have not moved away from the single issue publishing, but the design is, even AWA, which is now super hot indie, is designed around, like, let's write all the issues and then publish them one. All the issues are done before they start publishing them one by one, and then the trade is ready to roll the month or two after. And I don't know, personally, I don't know that it ruins it in either way for me, but it does maybe defeat the purpose of going every Wednesday and getting the floppy issues if in the end you find more enjoyment from the collected
and
edition.
I'm of two minds of it. Like, I don't know how much of a necessary evil it is right now, because the question becomes, it's not how I want comics to be as an industry necessarily, but if it's that or no floppies anymore on Wednesday, I'll take what I can get, which I know is a crappy way to look at things, but, you got it. It's the name of the game when it comes to capitalism is that they have to make money.
Well, and I think that too, you also come from the place of having created your own comic and having written individuals. You have this artistic perspective of like, it used to be an individual issue was its own story, even if it was connected to a bigger arc, and you had to really craft it as a individual piece, and it didn't necessarily have to be designed as part of this trade thing. So I think there's a perspective that you have that you've mentioned before on the show that I've responded to, as far as understanding the value of that one issue out of context from the ones preceding it or the ones that came after or come after. Chaos says, I like floppies for my soap opera, ongoing books, Star Wars, X-Men, etc. And I get that too, but I've been reading most of my X-Men digitally, and I've been enjoying it for the most part that way, and just as a way to save space and not to become a comic book, seller or whatever. I just want to be able to read the books, So for me, Bolero issue 2, I would definitely rate this about as high as I think I gave a 9 to the issue 1, and I'd say this is in that same 8.5, 9 range. I really am excited for more.
Yeah, no, very enjoyable, really well crafted, really well thought out. So far, holding strong
and different than anything else you're going to be reading. That's absolutely. I'm starting to get a fun, like, adult Alice in Wonderland vibe, and there's even this Cheshire cat that's like manipulating everything. So definitely enjoying some of those things. All right, so now we're on to the issue 1s. It's my turn to pick. I'm going to go with the one I liked most this week, and I really loved Step by Bloody Step. So here is issue number 1 of Step by Bloody Step from Image. Simon Spurrier and Bergara is the artist. I don't know.
I'm not familiar.
The artist. This is the variant from. Isn't this the variant by
Ian Bertram?
This is the Bertram variant. Yes. Yeah.
Little Bird.
It's funny because the story even gave me slight Little Bird vibes. Definitely some Hayao Miyazaki vibes. A little bit of Middle West even thrown in, perhaps. For those that don't know, Step by Bloody Step is almost entirely silent. No real speaking or even sounds. It's really just a visual.
Even the few boxes of dialogue are in some
foreign language.
Foreign text that I'm sure is made up. So
yeah, exactly. I'm not going to worry about blowing it up, but like you can see, like right there, it's this when she's speaking. You can't translate it. It seems to be meant to be read vertically, and it's in some other script that I can't possibly read. The story focuses on it's hard to describe because there's a lot left to be broken out, but there's a large machine creature, some iron giant, if you will, carrying a small child. And you're watching the child sort of grow and age as it is caring for her and moving through this bizarre world. You see different seasons. You see different habitats. You see different kinds of living things. So clearly time is passing, distance is passing, seasons are passing. And the robot machine seems to be unwilling to let the little girl interact with other people, in the sense of not letting her join this village or connect to these people.
Or even eat the soup that they offer.
Instead, it seems to have a greater purpose. Even at one point uses some of her blood to fertilize the soil in an area, and all of a sudden it just blooms.
Like immediately,
There's like plants able to grow in non-fertile soil, it seemed.
Right. This little farming community that is clearly suffering. Like you can see their mule or cow or whatever that is. It's just like wasting away along with them. And so everything's pretty barren. And then, just one little drop of blood in the soil and all this greenery pops up.
And then doesn't let her stay in with those people and enjoy it, but just takes her and moves directly on. There seems to be some people chasing them because they show up at that village that's now thriving with food, and some conflicts start appearing there. And it all sort of kind of builds to the reveal of the creature. I don't know. Am I skipping a whole bunch there at the end? They certainly run into, there's a storm at one point.
There's various things that are
in their way.
Dangers in their journey that this big automaton looking thing has to protect the child from.
Yeah. And at one point, the automaton or the robot like takes something off of its face, the helmet or the mask falls off, and we see that the face looks kind of like the little girl's face, but there's all these sort of wires and organisms connected to it, like it's running the ship. So I don't, it's hard to know what that means. And that's sort of where we're at with there's bad guys hunting her and the machine, and they're continuing their journey together.
Yeah.
Is that kind of it?
That's more or less.
What's up, Scott? He says he really liked it. Matthias Bergara did some Hellblazer issues with Spurrier, and he also did Coda, which I've never read Coda. I've read a few things from Simon Spurrier, mostly his X-Men stuff, which I've loved. And I saw a great interview with him done by Brandon of Comics Kings that gave me a great insight into like Simon Spurrier's like thought process. And he sounds like an amazing guy. But I just loved this universe. It reminded me a ton of that first issue of Middle West when we read it, this feeling like you were really immersed into a world. And I do really appreciate the visuals, the look of this world.
The visual imagination of the world is really spot on.
Yeah. I don't mind the simplicity of it. I know some people were really frustrated that they felt like they read it in a second because there was just nothing to it. But for me, like I could have really devoured the pages based on the panel layouts and the design of them. I really think there was a lot more to it you could go back through and appreciate. So for me, I did not. Yes, Alienated is another great comic, Spurrier comic. And I just absolutely thought this was a really stellar issue #1 for me.
Yeah, and I think I noticed myself doing it a couple times as well, and I forced myself to slow down where I felt like I was kind of breezing through it a little faster than I should have. And I think that's just kind of how we're trained to read comics, right? Where
right,
like a lot of times the writer/artist doesn't utilize the medium as much as they could or should. So they, draw pictures because it's a comic book and they have to draw pictures, but they don't draw pictures or they don't write the ideas of what the pictures should be in order for them to advance the story as much as the writing. And I think that there is as much to digest here as if this were narrated with a ton of word bubbles. You just have to slow yourself down and actually look at each panel and how it relates to each other, and dissect it on your own. But I didn't feel like I was ripped off for any amount of storyline.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like I didn't feel like I was shortchanged at all. I was immediately ready for more and ready for another issue. And to your point, this is a great example, I think, of the restraint of not using a ton of narration and word bubbles. The restraint to say, you know what, we're going to build this universe. It's going to happen. It just doesn't need to happen in issue 1. We're just going to give you a sense of it, a sense of these characters. And I'll tell you, and I think I even mentioned it to you when we were picking these out, but I know I've mentioned it to a few people talking about this book. I found a greater connection to the robot and the little girl in this without any words than a ton of comics where they give you all this dialogue.
Right.
I understood them. I got their problems. I got their emotional state, and I connected to them and was interested in their story.
Yeah. And, it certainly would have been very easy for the writer to say, put a bunch of narration blocks of like, oh, my first memory of being with the Beast was, when I was this years old and then we were in a snowstorm, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like,
Yeah, start at the end when she's an old lady sitting on a fire, and then jump back to the past, and then give me all the word bubbles.
That makes me want to throw up.
Can you imagine how it would have just absolutely trashed
Ruined
this
it,
story,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, that is some shots fired, Chris, as a palette. But I mean, hey, if you're reading those Bronze Age or Silver Age sucks books, like it's possible that a palette cleanser like this, or even like a Little Bird, which definitely was sparse on the words as well, and definitely let the visuals and the characters tell the story more. I think it's a wonderful.
Yeah, and I'm not saying wordy comics don't have their place, right? Because there are some great books that, you know, have tons of text on the page, but for that to be the only way to tell a story in comics, which, as Scott just said, are a visual medium, like I feel like a lot of writers don't lean on the visuals as much as they could or are able to, you know, because they are writers and they want their words to be the most important thing on the page.
Well, and I think they feel like if there's not any written words, then they didn't do anything. They didn't contribute anything, which is hilarious. It's like saying that a screenwriter doesn't contribute anything to a silent movie. It's just the cinematographer who does all the work. So I, you know, in that way, I think that there's a ton to be to looking at comic creators as these two people who put those pages together and make it work. I don't know. So I thought this was great. Definitely a 9 for me at least, and I'm all in for more of this.
And I also find it really funny where things like the G.I. Joe silent issue is considered this classic issue of storytelling, and then this is boring because it doesn't have any words. Not, you know, who knows? Maybe the same people saying this is boring think the silent issue is stupid too, but
or maybe they don't read the G.I. Joe silent issue. They just want a nice high grade copy.
Yeah.
Got him. Because who reads G.I. Joe? Like, let's be honest.
I mean, you do.
I mean, I did. Yeah, I read. That's one of the few. But I think I used to have those mailed to my house when you could still mail order comics, which is ridiculous. They put like stickers right on the book and stuff.
And they were always bent in the mailbox.
Oh my God, they got trashed. So, yeah. Anyways, byline, step by step. Did you a bloody step? Did you have a grade for that one? You're gonna obviously check out more.
I mean, in the 9s for sure. Like I loved it. It was great. I want to get all the store exclusives, but I'm not going to. And the 1 in 50. Pope Cyrus just said the 1 in 50.
Yeah, Pope C. What's up, Pope?
What a gorgeous cover.
Yeah, absolutely. If I had known how good it was going to be, I would have probably spent for it because I mean, it was just great. And I'm glad with the cover I got. And it was really Comics King's interview that made me want to pick it up because I listened to all their X talk, and then he started talking about this book because it was right before this dropped, and I was like, yeah, I got to go pick that up. Scott says I actually talked to a few people because I was saying, oh, this is my read of the week. I loved it. And a bunch of people were saying, like, I feel like I got ripped off. Like I didn't get enough story. So,
I mean, different strokes for different folks. I mean, some people like Lost.
And there are those idiots out there. What are you going to do? What would you pay for that? I can get it right now. Look, Pope C, I got it. What would you pay? I can get it for
I think
right now.
I think you can buy it now on eBay for $30 to $40 for sure. Like it's below ratio.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to start looking into it. Where are we now? Okay, so you're on the next one, right? Because I intentionally did not want to explain this one.
Oh, great. So this is going to be really good then, because here's my review of this book, right?
Yeah. Last book.
I remember enjoying it when I read it.
Uh-huh.
I cannot tell you what it's about. It went one ear and out the other. Like
in one eye and out the other?
Yeah, basically. Like I remember what it's about, but like really it did not stick with me beyond the time when I closed the book.
So it starts with this this woman and the little child running through some bizarre world where they're being chased and hunted. It almost seems like ancient apocalyptic something. Some tendrils reach out and grab the child and start pulling it away. The woman falls off a cliff, and it's kind of like jump to this city, and this protagonist female character wrapped in this like suit that's like protecting her from, I don't know, radiation or something. and everything is kind of trashed. And she's got this weird guardian, I don't know, spirit.
Yeah.
That's like protecting her from the Ravagers that are basically like.
Yeah, and it's like, but not like, oh my God, what is that thing? It's like, oh, she has one of those.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's like other
it's just
people
part
have
of
them
this
too.
world. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Alec was on mescaline again. I mean, it happens, right?
Joke's on you. I only read on mescaline, so it doesn't affect. No, not really. I don't do drugs.
There seems to be this plant human
God
conflict thing going on. Yeah. So there's this character who's been going through the city with the spirit protector ends up getting home with this medicine for an elderly person that she's caring for. And it all sort of stems from this weird plant that's like communicating with her.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Kind of like Little Shop of Horrors.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they are on Skid Row.
The elderly person seems to be like in very bad health or at least struggling, but then the medicine seems to do wonders for her.
Right. Like Charlie and Chocolate Factory, when the stupid grandfather is totally faking his illness. When he finds out he can go to a chocolate factory, he jumps up and he's doing somersaults and shit. A piece of crap. Earn your keep.
It sounds like the lady, the little girl in the protective suit, is selling some leaves from this magic plant to make ends meet for her and her. I don't know if it's her grandmother or her mom that she's caring for.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in struggling areas have to sell leaves off a plant to make ends meet.
I mean, there's that. So she's going to this weird witch doctor woman to sell her leaves. The witch doctor woman, there she is. Also wants to tell her fortune and read her future. So some oddities going on there. And this is the sequence where I got really confused. She comes home and finds out the woman that she was caring for is dead, right? Am I right?
Really?
Do you remember that?
No.
So she comes home. Let me hit the. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm trying to do it.
like
I don't have the actual issue.
She finds her dead. You don't mean that like
yes,
she's been dead the whole time.
No, finds her dead. She comes home from seeing the witch doctor lady, finds her there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking about Grandpa. He was talking about Grandpa Joe, not Grammar Joe. And then apparently she just this I loved these 4 panels side by side where she digs the grave, sits by the grave, sleeps by the grave, and then is visited by her spirit friend. Really great use of color on those pages. I'm sure if you're watching at home, you're like, I can't even see that on my phone, John. What are you doing? And the spirit kid baby thing is watching over her and won't help her with her problems. So she decides that it's time to leave. So she packs up the God plant, gets a map, and goes on her journey.
And then is immediately attacked.
And then immediately, runs into problems. And
then she thinks she's saved by this person on a speeder bike.
Yeah.
But the person on the speeder bike just wants to kidnap her for herself.
Also wants to kidnap her and wants to sell her. And I think that's how it ends, with her being taken away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how any of it connects to the thing at the beginning with the like plant that grabs the kid and the woman who falls off the cliff. But that's it. That's it.
Well, I mean, and you know my feelings on that. I think 99 out of 100 times starting a book in either a non sequitur or a flash forward is the wrong decision, because it either makes you just want to get back to that point, and so you're just not as invested in the story as you can be because you already know where it's leading, or it's just a waste of pages.
So for me, I did feel like I did not appreciate this book as much as the others. And yeah, obviously JP is saying, boy, this book really left an impression. I didn't hate it or anything. Nice. I didn't hate it or anything. It just did not wow me enough to even want to go buy an actual copy of it in the end. I just, Alec mentioned it as like, hey, check this out. And if you can find it. And I went on and I read it digitally and was like, all right, I'm good. And unless I hear great things from the later issues, I probably won't snag the trade on this one.
And here's a perfect lesson in spec.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm probably going to be kicking myself in a few weeks. Hey, what's up?
Chad, how are you doing? Well?
Because I think a quality of a comic doesn't necessarily ever reflect spec value. But the day before this was coming out, it was selling for $30.
This was a hot indie spec? I didn't even hear about it until you mentioned it.
It was announced that it was like optioned, or the writer was some like big shot novel writer or something. I don't remember, but yeah, it was going for $30. And I got to my comic shop 10 minutes after they opened on last Wednesday or whenever it came out, and they were already sold out, besides the copy that I had them pull me. So
yikes.
I don't know if I haven't looked it up since, so I don't know if it has held the value or gone up or down, but I don't think the quality of the story warrants that sort of price tag. Like, it's not
at all. Like, is it like one of those books that's like, it's already been optioned before they released it, so that's what the excitement was?
I think so.
Nah, bogus.
I'll look it up right now. Let's see.
So for me, I was not a big fan of that one. And I'm sorry, JP, these are some weird ones maybe. But I think there's some really good ones mixed in if you're looking for some fun indies. Geeky Mama Bear says her shop still has copies of it. So there you go. But the indies are one of those things I've noticed, Geeky Mama Bear, and maybe you can back that up. Maybe you're in the same boat, where I feel like in different regions, books will be hot because of the people that read it in there are fans of it. So I remember when Die first came out and it got really hot, issue number 1, people started specking on it and wanted to get it, and people were into it. My shop sold out and they got second prints and those sold out. And I would talk to buddies in the Midwest and they're like, oh yeah, we got a ton of issue number 1 on the shop. Like nobody wanted it. Nobody liked it. Nobody wanted to read it. You know, it's one of those things. I think that happens a lot with indies.
You can buy it now for $12 now pretty easily, and there are auctions that have gone for cover price since then. So,
there you go.
People who, much like Black Panther 3, 1 in 25.
Has that come down yet?
Must have. I say, putting my foot in my mouth.
So there you go. Land of the Living Gods. I would probably give that a 6.5, maybe somewhere in that range. Didn't hook me enough, but was certainly solid. I mean, not horrible. It wasn't Rain issue 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think 6.5 is a little harsh for me. Like, I didn't not enjoy reading it, but Black Panther 3, 1 in 25 is like a $325, $350 book now, which is still stupid. Wow. But
that's insane.
But it was up to almost $600 for a while.
Was it? Holy
crap,
man! People be tripping.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guess I could quickly mention I'm still really enjoying Bylines in Blood. That's the sort of noir detective. She used to be a journalist. Now she's a detective. It's got a slightly science fiction-y Veronica Mars-y kind of thing going. I thought issue 2 was solid just as much as I liked issue 1, and I'm probably going to keep going on that one on Aftershock. So if you're interested in something in that range, there's some mystery going on with this killer who kind of is in silhouette here and seems to have some kind of an ability, and some of the people manipulating the scenes in the background, and her former editor who was murdered as the like central mystery to solve. But I've been enjoying that one as well. Any other books you've been enjoying?
No. Unsurprisingly.
Zero hesitation. I'm trying to remember what I snagged this week. I feel like I'm getting a ton of Image books right now. So most of the indies I'm picking up seem to fall into that Image range these days.
Yeah, there was some new Image book that came out this week that there was only variants left when I got there at 10:05 today. So
really,
I didn't buy it. But
so I mean, I've been reading New Burn, which was great. This 4th issue was really good. Crossover, I think I should have stuck with. I realize now I should have stuck with Crossover after that Zdarsky issue because it seems to have like influenced everything that came after that.
mm-hmm.
Bendis played a big part. The detectives from Powers are now like trying to solve the crime. It's amazing. And then of course this one was an all Kirkman. I mean, it was incredible. Really great issue 12. And then Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog and Philadelphia. Those are a bunch of the indies I'm getting. They're all Image books. So there you go. I mean, let's not go this far. I like indies a bunch. And for some reason, Image is kind of where I've been enjoying in the last couple of years. Although everybody tells me AWA is great. And I've been grabbing those in trades for the most part.
Here's the thing about indies. Here's my quick hot take on indies. Good indies are the best. Bad indies are the worst.
Ooh, shots fired on both sides.
I think a bad Marvel or DC book is typically better than a bad indie.
And that's kind of what I say about certain movie genres.
Yeah.
Where it's like action movies are like pizza. Like even when they're bad, you can still be like, yeah, I can probably still entertain myself. But romantic comedies for me are the best and the worst. Like when you hit a really great romantic comedy, you get a Sleepless in Seattle, you get a When Harry Met Sally, you're like, wow, this is a really great movie. You get a bad one, you're like, do we need Made in Manhattan? Nobody needed Made in Manhattan, right? Then you're like, this is just trash. This is trash. So it's one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite genre, romantic comedy. But it's like so hard to get a great one, and it's so easy to get so many bad ones.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I mean, it's weird because like I feel both of those sides about horror movies where like I think it's really hard to make a great horror movie, and great horror movies are some of my favorite movies, but I'll still watch a bad horror movie.
Because it's like pizza in that way, right?
Yeah.
And I do think that's another one of those genres that works even when they're bad, they can still be like, it's Evil Dead 1. It's still very entertaining.
You forgive it because it's a horror movie.
I did not, JP. I'm sorry about that. Love all romantic comedies. I mean, I like really good ones. I get frustrated with really bad ones. So for me, it's one of those polar extreme ones. But I do love a great romantic comedy. That's just kind of where I'm at in my life, I guess. That is it for us. Did you have anything else? You're good, right?
Yeah, I'm great.
We're going to be on Alec's channel at the end of, technically the beginning
first
week of April. At the end of looking through the books for March. So which definitely
terrifying that we're already talking about April 2020.
Definitely subscribe over there because that's where we're going to be. And we're going to be talking about great books. And hopefully I'll get Alec to read New Burn issue 4 because I think you might like it. It's a standalone issue. So those that have not read anything of New Burn could probably read issue 4 and really enjoy it. I don't know that I've got any. I don't think I've got anything. Nothing tonight, nothing tomorrow. I've
got something tomorrow.
What's going on tomorrow?
Theoretically, considering it is the perpetually delayed show.
Usagi Yojimbo.
Usagi Yojimbo number 3 on JP's channel with Cthulhu and Geek Aficionado and of course JP.
Nice.
So assuming that everything goes okay in the next 24 hours, we'll be there. And then also on JP's channel, we got D&D on Sunday nights.
That is a fact. Yeah, so be ready for that Sunday night D&D. We had a really fun session last time, so be there for more shenanigans. The next time I'm on my channel will be Saturday morning with the girls, and then on Monday night we got Comic Gory Olympics. We're doing the slalom where people have to play comics from 2 different runs and alternate between them all through the night.
Oh my God.
It should be amazing. You can keep talking. I mean, you've been here the whole time. You haven't said anything, TJ. You don't even say hi to us anymore.
Maybe he just got here.
Will happen when I hit the live believe it until you hit the live button. There you go. So that's it. Thanks everybody for coming. I hope you leave us any comments if there's some indies that we're missing that you think are absolutely stellar that we need to check out. We try to do a lot of number 1s and number 2s. There gotta be a better way to say that.
Well, we don't do number 3s anymore on Wednesday.
But we try to avoid going deep diving on some of these because we don't want to ruin that into that arc or issue 5 or whatever. We try to be good about that. What are you gonna do? All right, everybody, thank you for coming, and we'll see you back here in about a month.
Bye.